I'm Tabor Gifford, and the views I express in this podcast are entirely my own and are in no way reflective of the organizations mentioned within.
So I think that Robinhood, that's a lie. That's a total lie because they're selling user data. Their structure, there was no way that they could make money off the fast brokerage that they were playing fast and loose with it. They were selling user data for their revenue stream to show retail investor trader behavior. But it's an issue for me because they did champion themselves as making building wealth more equitable. I'm actually not a podcast person at all. I rarely listen to podcasts, and I think there's a couple reasons for that, which is kind of weird because I'm about to analyze. What is a podcast? It's just an episodic audio recording, right? That's all it is. Yeah. So I think that, but there are definitely different kinds, like specific genres and kinds of podcasts that have emerged as being popular. And the old talk radio style, like The Daily, like the New York Times Daily. Do you listen to The Daily?
No.
You do?
I listen to BBC
Oh, you don't?
News Today.
So I don't listen a lot of my friends listen to The Daily, and I don't listen to The Daily because I cannot stand the sound of Michael Barbaro's voice.
Yeah.
I can't. I really can't. And I remember, even from an early age, I remember my parents were huge talk radio people, and they would listen to NPR. It was like NPR mornings all weekend. And I remember just being frustrated at the excruciating enunciation that radio hosts do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know why that annoyed me so much, but I think that Michael Barbaro, I feel bad just leaning into him, but I do think that my personal hell is Michael Barbaro reading out loud every horrible thing that I've said or done to other people for my entire life. I would just die. I would expire.
You would enunciate everything.
With excruciating.
BBC does that too. It's welcome to BBC Radio. This is your host.
Yeah.
Host.
Yeah, exactly. And I can just
Bangladesh is burning this morning. Children running across the street, rampant, no clothes.
And I don't know why it's something that annoys me. It's probably something I should unpack there, but so that's the one, that's one genre of podcast, just the information delivery, high production, someone who is a professional speaking. And then there's the very conversational, this genre of podcast. So you've got some celebrity interviews, whether they're a professional interviewer or not, or just some celebrity who wanted to have a podcast. They just bring other people on through their network and just have conversations, right? Whether, in various degrees of humor and intellectual depth. And so my frustration with those, while I find those to be super interesting, my frustration is I want to jump into the conversation. It's hard for me to just listen to two people talk because, no, seriously. And it happens when I was listening to yours, and it's even worse because I know on your, at this point, I think I know 95% of the people who've been in your podcast.
Right.
So it makes it even worse because you'll be talking to someone and I just want to jump in. And that's definitely a personality thing, but it makes it tough for me to listen to podcasts because I sit there and which is a good thing, because I would just immediately devalue the podcast itself, because I'm then I'd just be interrupting people who actually have like an expert opinion and deserve to be talking about that. But I guess that doesn't really stop me in real life. So
that's funny. No, that's nice. I think that's the beautiful thing about podcasts. Like, you're so engaged. And there are these genres of podcasts that make you feel like, hey, I want to pitch in, especially for you, for us, because like we're friends and you're like, hey, I want to like, say something or crack a joke or whatever. But going back to like that excruciating enunciation and that like early 2000 radio host style, it's like, it still exists, but they've moved away from that. People are really not doing that anymore, except for like some of the news channels. And it's good and bad, because right now it's like the graph is like going down. There are like 1 million podcasts in America, or like English speaking or whatever. Like, this is the worst time to start a podcast. And not being a professional or not being famous definitely doesn't help. Yeah.
Right. It's like the most saturated market right now, because it's so easy to do. You just need a microphone.
Yeah. And you just like, for people who,
device.
For the most part, people who love to talk, it's like their wet dream, like, fuck, I can like put this out into the world. Crazy.
I know, people can't interrupt me.
No. I mean, what I'm banking on is that I just have to tell myself that this is for the long run, and that this is something nice, and I want to continue, because I feel like I'll be able to achieve something. And it's not about like listenership or nothing. It's even on a very selfish level. It's like continuing conversations with my friends. Like, we live in a world where it's like really sad, but I needed an excuse. Also, my social skills and my ability to keep in touch with people is so bad. Like, I needed the excuse of a podcast to like be in touch with my friends. And that is the world we're living in right now.
Yeah, but that's super cool, because I mean, you're also a creative, and so you're like creating something here through doing this.
So it becomes a project,
like these conversations. Yeah. You needed a project and to create something to put yourself on a connection schedule with your friends. But I mean, I totally agree with that. And I think that the first episode cracks me up, because you basically have like an MID exit interview with Irina. It's like, like, all right, here we are out. What did we think? What could have been better?
Wait, okay, let's get started. I'm gonna keep that conversation in, because that was a good one.
Yeah, dude.
But let me introduce you.
I don't really care.
All right, let me introduce you.
All
right. Welcome to Not Enough Design. Today's guest, my friend Tabor Gifford, IDMID, RISD. That's where we met, obviously. And one of the few people at RISD MID who doesn't have a design background, like myself and Hyun Suk. You have a marketing background, BA from Bucknell.
Yeah, more or less. I don't know. See, I don't even know if I have that.
More or less. Maybe they gave it to me. I didn't check.
Yeah. I don't know. Don't you feel like I feel like the only way to introduce me in a podcast would be like, here's Tabor Gifford, just some guy.
Here's Tabor Gifford, a guy I met in my studio.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I don't even, we got a degree in industrial design, and I don't know, like you're in UX design as well. And how often do you have to, you're doing UX, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you often have to explain to people how like you learn things in your ID degree that are analogous to UX?
I have to explain to people how I learned things in my life that are analogous to UX. Like, everything is analogous to UX. Like, it's a user experience. Like anything, even marketing is kind of. I don't know.
No, it
concept
does.
stuff.
I think it informs it. But then there's so many people who went through these UI UX boot camps. It's like they know UX to the nth degree. And I'm like, wait, what's a modal? Like, definitely had to give myself a rundown on the glossary of UI UX terms, because that's obviously not something did you take a software class at RISD, like a software design?
No, I didn't. I did not.
Yeah.
That is even, that's like, yeah, it's even more surprising that I'm here. But there's like, we have so much in common because we both come from like a not design background and more or less management background. And then we both did ID and now we're both in UX. And so we keep getting into fields that we have no prior knowledge of, like about. Like, why do you and we can still do it, and we still do it. So that makes me think that a lot of these courses, like, hey, come learn UX, this is UX bootcamp. It's all like a money grab, like everything else, really. I mean, for some part, maybe that's not a fair statement entirely, because for some part, a lot of people might benefit from like a UX course, but you don't really need it.
See, I don't know. I think that I actually think there's a lot of value in the boot camps, both for UI UX and for all the software developers who take them. Because, so, I mean, on my teams, there's the people like us who came in with less of a background, but I'm supported absolutely by the UX UI bootcamp people who are nice enough to be like, oh yeah, you didn't know this? Like, let me help you out with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and also those are technical programs that cost a lot less than a design degree, and get people into the job placement rates for boot camps are incredible, right?
Oh, really?
So like, yeah, well, that's what they all espouse. It's they're crash courses that then almost guarantee job placement. At least that's my understanding. I could be completely wrong about that. But
no, maybe you have a point.
I'm pretty sure that's their value.
Probably, yeah. Maybe they are. Like, I throw things out there. I like to be devil's advocate. Makes for a good podcast.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, actually,
me too, of course.
I did an UX boot camp. No, I'm just kidding. I did.
No, I mean, I think that that's their value. And we're definitely going to need programs like that, because not everybody can do the like thinking degree, because then I just don't think you would have a very productive team. That's not a valuable team, right? That
is true. Like in my team, I have an ID background and the other designer has a visual design background. So I think right now we're at a stage in UX where UX doesn't really come from like a very traditional established college program. So it's like this mix and match of people who make up this industry, which is exciting. But also sometimes it can be anticlimactic when it comes to what a UX designer does, like for the major part of it. Like, I'm not talking about a few UX designers who work for very exciting companies. Like, hey, I'm a UX designer, created Airbnb or whatever. Like, but daily UX design tasks, yeah, like,
Oh, you want to talk shop? You want to really talk about what we do? All right,
let's cut this. Let's cut this whole shit out. Let's cut it out.
No, I mean, I think that it totally depends on the company, right? Because if you got an Airbnb or you've got, like, I don't know about a Virgin, but if you've got a Fidelity, there's so much money dumped into creating a whole design system of plug and play materials. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's so different. Same title, but so different than a startup where they're probably expecting you to know some CSS, some HTML. Like, they want you to be a little more hands-on with the development. And also for a startup, you could be creating the entire design system from scratch and like working with a brand team. So it's the same title, but vastly different.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting with startups as well, because my company is not a startup, but it functions like one. Its growth is really good. And I don't know whether I should be saying this. Maybe I'll cut it out later. Let me restart the sentence so the cut seems seamless. My company works.
Stuff's more interesting. I think you should keep this stuff in there. Like,
well,
this is
yeah,
the good stuff. Nobody needs to hear about how UI UX is like. Some people build it from code. Some people,
some
people know.
Or look, I don't know code. All right, and like my company has a whole really great development team, so I don't need to know code. Right. So what we do on a daily is
thank God for the developers, right?
Yeah, I know. I love them. They're so good. They're really nice. They're really nice.
They really are.
Yeah. And I also try like active. This is like the difference between being a design student and being a working designer. Like there's this interaction thing that you need to like be aware of. Like, so I try to keep the design that is, easy to develop. Like even some of the easy designs are difficult to develop because I don't know how code works, but I'm getting an idea of like what can be or cannot be. But then I see these Instagram posts of like this crazy UI. I'm like, you'll never be able to maintain that. Like imagine giving that to developer and being like, this is a company that we're trying. This is a site that'll be, that'll be changing every month. And so the upkeep is going to be like, you're going to want to stab yourself if you're a designer for like a site like that. It's fucking holographic 3D objects moving, floating in space. Like it's fucking nuts.
But that's where everything's moving, right? I mean, that's what people want, the motion graphics. That's the exciting stuff. Motion graphics. I mean, that's what like, I shouldn't talk too much about Robinhood, but that's what like Robinhood's getting in trouble for, right? Is like the celebrating your gambling, your day trading. It's like confetti and stuff.
Look,
do you use Robinhood?
Yeah, I'm like an early proponent of Robinhood. I love Robinhood.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
you love Robinhood.
I've been using Robinhood for like 3 years now. Yeah. The thing about Robinhood is that the thing about everything right now is like, it's for the masses. Like centralized power is like, it's dwindling sort of. Like everything is like, even the sex industry. All right. Like porn was kind of like, there were these houses like your, but so you're
going to reference OnlyFans, right? I mean,
there you go. Yeah,
democratizing the content
democratize everything,
right?
like OnlyFans.
No, I know where you're going.
Yeah, there you go.
But so I think that Robinhood, that's a lie. That's a total lie because they're selling user data. Their structure, there was no way that they could make money off the fast like brokerage that they were playing fast and loose with it. They were selling user data for their revenue stream to show retail investor trader behavior. But it's an issue for me because they did champion themselves as making building wealth more equitable, which I really think is important. But I don't think that's actually like, how do you make money doing that?
You don't. That's the thing. So the thing about all of this, all of this is like, it's, smoke and mirrors. The trick is what this is what I paid tuition at LSE for, is to teach me that the trick to making money is creating smoke and mirrors about making people feel like, they can do it. They can do it. I did it. I got on Robinhood. I felt like a broker. I made $60. I'm stoked. And so are millions of people on Robinhood. there are only a fraction of the population that have made actual money on Robinhood. And when more people started making money, that's when the thing happened that we can't talk about. GameStop.
No, we can talk about GameStop. We can talk about GameStop. I've given my disclaimer. I think we can talk about GameStop. But I struggle with, you know me, I like game design. I'm interested in gamification. But I struggle with the irresponsible gamifying of investing, which it really isn't investing, because Robinhood's day trading, which really isn't investing. I struggle with how unethical it is that they're putting that tool out there and playing fast and loose with, making sure their users understand the high risk actions that they're taking. And it's all for, like, they pretend like it's for making building wealth more accessible, because you used to have closed funds, closed mutual funds, minimum investments, before fractional shares, like all that stuff was investing in the stock market was very inaccessible. And so I do think that it's great that Robinhood pioneered, or at least they really delivered the fractional share to the market. But I think that that's all a charade. I don't think that they're truly for the little guy. And I don't know how you would actually do that. I don't know how you would make building wealth more equitable. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of whether it's possible. Again, I don't know how many times I brought up capitalism. I feel like a fucking like a sophomore eco student bringing up capitalism. It's all about capitalism, dude. I don't think that. No. It's like you cannot. I don't think it's possible to make wealth equitable in the way that we think it is. Like, sure, because there are examples everywhere of the wealth gap shortening as well as lengthening. Like there are examples of both of these things around the world. Like when you hear the criticism around capitalism is that, it's making the rich richer, it's making the poor poorer. Yes, it is, but also not really, because when you look at the data in Africa, it's seen that because of capitalistic growth and production methods, there are more people now in the middle class that have come up from below the poverty line because of capitalism. And it's like, what else has worked? There is no economic model that's gonna work in the way we think it's gonna work. That's the truth. And that is because everything is limited, and that's the truth. You can't have, there are not an infinite amount of apples to distribute amongst people.
Yeah. If resources are finite, then you're going to have supply and demand.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing is, whatever. And the thing about Robinhood is that, yes, I think there should be more education around like trading in general, because like you said, Robinhood is for day trading and not like trading. But I've not.
It could be used responsibly.
Exactly. Yeah.
It could be, because they have fractional shares. So they have fractional shares. You can. Well, they even have crypto on there. But the most responsible thing you can do is through Robinhood, take a small amount of money, take whatever you can and start to put it into index funds, and then then continue to contribute to it and don't look at it for 10 years. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
But that's so boring.
Exactly.
It's so boring. People just want to, it's not fun.
Becoming a millionaire is boring. It's boring. It's fun after you become a millionaire.
Becoming. Yeah, right. But the most guaranteed way to become a millionaire is super boring. The high risk way of buying $50,000 worth of penny stocks and like the 2% chance that those penny stocks like go up 600%. That's fun, but that doesn't happen. That never happens.
No.
But I just think that apps like Robinhood or someone needs to do it, but they need to take this like fractional share method and start teaching younger investors to take what they can and park it in there and leave it there. And index fund, it's like 98% of the time or something, index funds outperform managers. So like, why are people going for this 2%?
Really quick, like explain what index funds are.
So the index funds are when you're buying into a collection of top performing like blue chip stocks. So you've got, but it's balanced. So you've got your blue chip stocks like Microsoft, Apple, like all the big names that over time, because those companies, because they're a going concern. So like it would take a catastrophe for Microsoft's stock to plummet, right? So those are decent investments, but even still, they're going to go up and down a lot. So what an index fund is just an indexed number of stocks that include Microsoft. It includes all the big players, but it also includes a bunch of other stuff that's, packaged in there to offset the up and downs. So over time, over 10 years, an index fund will go up. It mirrors the economy. Right. If the economy goes up, the index fund's going to go up.
It's like building.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, build a portfolio that's gonna like help you retire or something. But I don't think
it's a one-stop shop. It's
yeah. There you go. Yeah, but I think that's in general. The education around trading is that's why we hire stockbrokers to trade for us. That's what they kind of do, and that kind of falls into the realm of like a riskier mutual fund.
Right. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Because that's what a mutual fund is. So the mutual fund is going to be a selection of a certain sector often, that is human I mean, obviously they have like a huge slew of algorithms at their fingertips and, teams of 200 analysts who put together and crunch data for them to make decisions. But yeah, the mutual funds are at the end of the day, like, they're just higher risk index funds, right? I mean, they're just higher risk portfolios, which people buy into because they're looking for that 15% annual return as opposed to the, 7 or 8 that you might get from an index fund.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I did.
But mutual funds are inaccessible, right? Because I mean, a lot of times you need a minimum investment.
Yeah, mutual fund is like you put in the money and they have a bunch of people do the same thing. And so they have a pool of money. And then this group of people who are like professional traders, they kind of take the decisions for us and use our money to make more money and kind of give us a little piece.
Yeah, exactly. And then, exactly. Pull some for themselves.
Yeah, there you go. That's so smart though, right? Like what, the first thing I learned is like, if you start a business, always use OPM. Other people's money. That was like, what was it in the book? That was like the chapter. OPM, other people's money. How do you use it? 50 ways, right? And so that's like the smartest thing to do.
What was that? Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Is that real estate investing book? Yeah.
I read that book as a kid and I was like, wow, I've cracked the code. This is it.
Well, did I tell you that there was a Rich Dad, Poor Dad board game? Did I tell you that?
No.
So my dad was super into teaching me about this stuff, and they made once the Rich Dad Poor Dad brand was strong enough, they made this rat race board game where the whole point of the game was to get on the inside track, the passive income track. So the game is just teaching you that like if you're on salary for the rest of your life, you're a huge sucker. That's the whole point of it.
You're a rat.
It's like Yeah, you're a rat, basically. Like if you stay on salary, you're stuck on the slow track. But it was funny because it actually the part of the game was like managing your credit card debt. Like it's just so funny to me that my dad would sit my brother and I down and be like, all right, well, so how much credit card debt are you in? Like you're going to want to make sure that your passive income exceeds your expenses, and then you're on the fast track. But I do think that all of that stuck with me. I think that a lot of what I learned from my parents regarding credit usage, like leveraging debt responsibly, having passive income be like the ultimate goal, has stuck with me, which is pretty funny because like a lot of those things I think are, I don't know, there's definitely like a growing resentment, don't you think, towards passive income, particularly in real estate with landlords.
I think what your dad did was important, and I think my dad did that too. Teach me about credit card bills, and it's serious. We're both smiling. I don't know why. It's not funny. It's really true, and I think more people should learn about that because credit card debt is a slippery slope. It's a very slippery slope. My dad told me this. I remember. Told me clearly. Never. Once you use your credit card, they're gonna keep telling you to like pay monthly. Never pay monthly. That's when the banks win. That's when you're in.
Oh, of course.
They trap you. You're done.
Of course. That's when every dollar you've spent is now $1.20, $1.25.
Yeah.
So, and it completely negates the rewards that they sold you with. No, what I was told is use a credit card. Make sure that in your bank account, you have the money for what you just spent in your credit card. Never use a credit card for anything that you can't immediately pay off right then and there.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're losing.
Exactly. Never exceed your salary and always pay it off before the deadline. There you go. You're done.
Right. But I think that it's so easy. I mean, it's easy for me to say that because I think that maybe credit cards, some people are in just like tough situations where they need to utilize immediate credit to get themselves out of a hole. I think there's like different kinds of situations there. It depends on whether you're going on a shopping spree or you need a quick micro loan to like pay bills.
Yeah. No, that's true. I think a lot of like you said, you can either be stupid or you're just in a tough spot. You don't have any room.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like an asshole sitting here and being like, don't spend money. Obviously people need to leverage.
Yeah. We're talking to the stupid portion of the population. Hey, you don't need to go shopping on your credit card unless you can't pay it off. There's another thing that's in the works. Already seems like it's bursting. This short-lived NFT bubble.
Oh my God! So I've been trying to like educate myself. Have you read about it? Can you give me a rundown on NFTs?
Sure. It's a cash grab and a and a bubble that's already burst as of 12 hours ago. No, I'm kidding. So NFT is like, it's called non-fungible token, and it lives in this cryptocurrency of blockchain world. And so the thing is that in order to what the whole news thing is, everybody's talking about is like art as an NFT. Anything can be NFT.
But digital art. Digital art. Right?
Yeah, digital
Anything
art.
can be NFT.
Anything can be NFT. So digital art is selling for millions right now as NFTs. And so the way you can, first, there are two things. First of all, what the hell does that mean? Right? Like what is it doesn't make any sense if you think about it. Like a digital art, like I can just take a screenshot of that and I have an exact replica. Like NFT is supposed to make a piece of artwork, just the one, like it's the one. There's no other replica of it. It's an original digital piece, which is like an oxymoron, like an original digital piece.
Right. We got counterfeit JPEGs now.
Yeah, counterfeit JPEGs. It's like the easiest thing to do is like, but only in code is it NFT, because if I take a screenshot of that image, then I have it too. And you just paid $1 million for what? like a photo. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, and so the thing is that,
well, it's a pride thing, right? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it is definitely a pride thing. It's like, or it's also like a novelty thing. It's like, oh, this is a new thing that I can spend my money on, you know? But also it's, there's like speculation that's bad for the environment. So the blockchain, the process of making it an NFT is a very complex computer process. Like a lot of computation has to take place, and that uses that has a big carbon emission and a carbon footprint.
Right. So all the parallel processing to mine it and process it. Isn't it like the emissions for mining blockchain right now exceeds the entire like emission total for Pakistan or something? I was reading that the other day. It's like
I'm not sure about that,
output.
But sure, totally. I accept it.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Because it makes a lot of sense, because it costs a lot of money to, it's called gas. They call it gas. So if you have an NFT, say we take a screenshot of this page and we go to OpenSea. Now OpenSea is like a website that sells, you can buy and sell NFT art. And there are many of these websites, right? And so in order to upload something on OpenSea, they have to make your image or video, or whatever, into an NFT. And so it costs money for the process. And so it's gas money, and depends on like how many people are making NFTs at that point. So if you do it at 12 a.m., it's kind of cheaper. But on average, it costs from like $50 to $100 to upload something. So then it's like Monopoly. Then you have to get the little coins called Bitcoins or Ether. You collect little plastic coins.
No, keep going.
Yeah. Anyway, so now OpenSea uses Ethereum, right? So the coins are called Ether.
Right.
And so then you can price it like 0.00005 Ether, and then hope to God that somebody bids higher than what you paid in gas money. And so a lot of people that you don't read about on the news are losing money by making NFTs. And so it's a cash grab. Like, it's fucking crazy. And apparently, according to CNN, NFT prices are down 70%, like 70, as of today. It's already crashed.
So you think it was just like a train that people wanted to hop on? Like people were spending money to get on this trend?
I think NFT is going to be present in the future. Okay. It's going to be a part of the economy.
Yeah.
But right now it's just novelty. It's like, what are we even buying as NFTs? Like stupid GIFs? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, we're spending. Okay. Sophia the robot sold an NFT for $700K. Sophia the robot made an NFT, and she said,
I don't even know I don't even know.
Wait, do you know?
I don't know what Sophia the robot is.
Sophia the robot is, I don't know if she's the first, but she's the famous celebrity AI robot whose face looks like a woman and the back of her head is metal.
Okay, actually, I do. Yeah, yep. Okay, I do know that. I do. I've seen the photos.
Yeah, people sit around and have conversations with her. And so she made an NFT and sold it for $700K. And she said, Sophia the robot, that she plans to make more. I know people who graduated with me who don't have a job yet, and Sophia the robot just made $700K USD. There you go. That's these are NFTs. You want to hear something crazy? Here's this game called Decentraland. So people who don't know, Tabor is also a game designer. So you'll be interested in this one, right? Decentraland. Do you know about this game?
No, I don't.
So it's a blockchain.
To be honest, I'm not doing much in the game design world anymore, which is kind of sad, but it's the reality of it.
Do you plan on getting back into it though?
Hopefully. I'm working on, I'm trying to do side projects, but actually that's another compliance thing. I am actually limited by my contract in terms of what I can pursue on the side, but no, I'm working on certain things. I don't know whether game design specifically is something I'll get back into, or I'll just probably leverage it as, a skill and as part of some greater puzzle that I get into.
Maybe on the side you can like come up with a game that you can license or something. Is it? How is it compliant?
Something
is it
that
like
maybe
fine?
makes? Well, maybe I can make a game that makes like day trading really fun, right? I could name it like after the fairy tale, the guy who like robs from the rich and gives to the poor. I could name it that.
Yeah. Name it exactly that. The whole thing. Guy that robs from the rich and gives to the poor. Board game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Link it directly.
Fit really well in the App Store.
Link it directly. All the chips are Bitcoins. All the players are digital, but it's played on a board with holographic whatever. Make it fan. Make it like super.
Yeah. Or it's an app where you trade GameStop shares for Bitcoin. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it's for.
Yeah. That's a good game.
Yeah. But anyway, tell me, so what's this blockchain game?
So it's called Decentraland. It's like Sims, but it's a blockchain version of it. Okay. So people are, this makes me so mad. People are buying land within Decentraland with real money or Bitcoins or whatever. And they're building homes on those said land. And they're decorating these homes with NFTs. And so the world is burning and we're moving into our computers for a nice, happy, safe life.
Yeah, no, I was actually talking about this today. I feel like, the world burning is something that our parents' generation became aware of and was staring down, the barrel of that gun. But now for our generation, it's almost like it feels so intimidating that I think that there's this huge move towards virtual worlds because, like, what else are we going to do? Like, the virtual worlds aren't scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're going to move out of the cities, live in a pod, and then get into the only thing missing is like a VR upgrade to Decentraland. Then you're in it. Then it's done.
Right.
You're good. Yeah.
Right.
You're good. I love it. Like, look at us. Like, okay. Like, the COVID, we're all inside. We're not moving around. There's Decentraland. There are VR goggles. I can finally call you over to my place. You don't need to like spend time getting into a car, getting on a plane or whatever. We can hang out in my Decentraland home and then we can all log out. It's the future. This is the future.
I don't think it's going to, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen though. Cause I really don't think that we can replace, I don't know. Like, I definitely yearn for seeing my friends again in person. And I feel like people are sick of it. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I'm just joking. Just making fun of this stupid game, but it's like an expensive version of Sims. That's it.
So you really are burning money in that game to like achieve things.
Oh yeah, you need to buy NFTs. You need to spend like Bitcoins or Ether to like buy stuff on that game.
But who is doing this? I mean, it's the same thing that makes me wonder about all the, the micro purchase games out there where people are spending like hundreds of dollars a day on Candy Crush. Like, who out there is actually doing that?
Hundreds, yes. I've spent some money on a game.
Really?
I've spent yeah.
What game?
I used to play this game called Game of Thrones. I forget what the subtitle was or whatever. It's a Game of Thrones game, and it came out like a few years ago. I used to play like maybe 4 years ago on my phone, and I was pretty good at it. And I joined like the Discord server, the whole thing, right? I was part of the community. I knew people. I spent money, and then I spent too much money, and I was like, "Whoa, this has got to stop."
So did you think of it as like a hobby? Like, were you justifying spending the money? I mean, maybe I'm overthinking it, but what, like in a hobby, like you're into guitar. So if you're spending money on anything playing guitar related and you justify it that way, that makes sense. But for something for a game like that, where you justify it as like, okay, this brings me joy as a hobby, a way that I spend my time, and therefore this money that I'm spending is worthwhile to me.
For me, I don't know about like everybody else. There are people who spend more money than I've ever spent on a video game or whatever. But
of course.
For me, I think it was at a point in time where I forget, but I think I was working, or I just quit Ernst & Young, and I'm trying to figure out where to go for my master's or whatever. And like I'm trying to like achieve things in life, but I'm not being able to. I'm stuck in my room. And this is like a window into a life where there's achievement and there's like reward and friends. And I'm like, I bought into that. And I think people are still buying it. And NFT came at a time where we're stuck at home, and it's beautiful. It's like, yeah.
So I think it's exactly that. I think it's exactly what you just described. I think that a lot of these games with virtual worlds where you can accomplish something provide this low risk, low consequence environment. Well, except for unless it becomes a money pit, but it provides this low consequence environment where you can feel like you achieved something. You can feel like you got to that next level, or that you built that little house in The Sims, or I don't know, whatever. And it's like a little microcosm of personal achievement that you can escape to when achieving things like that. In the real world is risky. It has consequences. It's scary. I mean, like,
and more than that, it takes time in the real world. That's the thing. That's the catch.
Yeah, it takes time. Right, it takes time. And in these games, it's quick. Like, and you were doing it in between. That's like a pretty funny time to be doing
in
it,
between
right? Like,
lunch and dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, but like in between a job and grad school, where you don't totally know what the next step is, you're spending your time, spending money in a game, right? But that probably has to do with stress. Do you think you were stressed at that time? I don't want to assume.
Yeah, maybe. Definitely. Like, I forget exactly what time it was, but if it was before I applied to design school, I was stressed. Like, I didn't know what to do. Quite honestly, like I was kind of lost. And I was doing all these like Coursera courses and edX courses to like build a portfolio that I could apply to design school with. And it was a stressful time. Like, I really didn't think that I would get an acceptance. And for the most part, I didn't. Like, I applied to 8 colleges. I got rejected by 6. But that is the thing. Like, you take your chances, and that time period is stressful and it's depressing. I was like really depressed, and that game provided this like surge of dopamine. And I could go on a whole dopamine rant right now, because I've been thinking a lot about the dopamine economy, and like it's fucking crazy.
Oh, I think about that too. And I think that's exactly what it was, is that in the day to day, you were working on this delayed gratification task, your portfolio, where the payoff is like very unclear, very personal, because failure in that case is, you feel like it's a reflection on you. I mean, I'm probably projecting. This is like my own experience with portfolio building, but that's very stressful. And so it's easy to log into a game, like a virtual world, and get accomplishment like that. Like, just, I don't know what you do in those Game of Thrones games. You're like, what would you do? Do you like pay to assassinate people, or like pay to build a kingdom,
grow crops and build?
You were growing crops in a Game of Thrones game? That's what they have you doing?
It's all the same model, man. It's all the same model.
I know. What is it? Just Farmville, but
yeah, it's Farmville, but Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's chewing gum, but Candy Crush. You know, whatever. Angry Birds, but Candy Crush. Yeah. It's all cross. But the thing is, like, also, yeah, you're depressed. You feel like a loser at some time. You're like, what are you doing? You were in finance one moment, you were in consulting one moment, next moment you're like, you want to be a designer because you had like a pottery class in high school and you can draw and play the guitar. So you think like you can be a designer now. Like, what are you doing? And then in the game, you're like, you're a fucking king. You're a king. You have dragons. There you go. It's great. It's great. It's great.
I know, but I think that it's tough because it's not shareable, right? I mean, like those accomplishments in the game are very individual unless the game is like multiplayer or whatever.
See, I disagree. Nowadays, you have the Discord. So this is what like had me in it. Like, right. I was so addicted. Yeah. Like I was more addicted to Game of Thrones than I was addicted to cigarettes in my life. Like, honestly, like I was a part of the Discord server. I had friends from I don't know where they lived.
But those people, you're sharing that accomplishment with them. So maybe it just makes the accomplishment feel more real because now that's like you belong to this community of
so
people
real.
Who are celebrating.
So real.
Yeah.
And in the Game of Thrones, when you're sleeping, people can attack your kingdom. So, you know, you wake up in the morning and like all you've done is in like ruins.
Steal your crops.
Yeah, steal your crops.
Yeah, they stole
destroy
your
crops. Buildings, everything's burning. And then you go on the Discord server, you're like, hey man, I want some backup. And then the whole team goes on like, takes revenge.
Who stole my crops?
Great, yeah. Who stole my wheat? What am I gonna feed my horses? It's crazy.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's everywhere now. I feel in the early stages of digital gaming, I think that there was a lot of that virtual accomplishment was looked down on, but as like multiplayer communities have grown, it's validating. And now, you know, if you have enough people who buy into it, that accomplishment does take real value. I mean, it creates this like experiential value that is shared. And so it becomes very real because you have so many people buying into it. And I don't mean buying in as like Bitcoin. I mean, buying in as like they all believe the same and
thing. Now even people who don't pay for video games, they're still like, they're still profitable because of the ads. There are like so many ads in video games now. It's every level there's like an ad, whatever. But what got you into like game design and stuff? Did you like play a lot of games growing up?
Yeah, I've definitely played a lot of games across like so many categories, like board games, video games, you know, physical games, whatever you want to call it, throughout my whole life. I'm competitive, so that always kept me coming back. But yeah, oh man, this is taking me back. I haven't really thought, because remember when we were going through our thesis and they were just pushing us for why the hell we were focused on the topic we had chosen for our thesis. And they would like break you down to the point where you're like, I don't even know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good question. Actually, I'm going to go now. But yeah, so I think that I devoted myself to playing so many games. I started, and I'm just a compulsive analyst. So I started analyzing like what makes a game a game. And from there, I think you just start to notice patterns and start to figure out how you could create your own, how you could design a game. And then I tried that and realized that I just love watching people try game designs, broken or not. Like playtesting games is just so fun. Frustrating at the same time though, because people, depending on the player you have, like they'll just destroy it. They'll absolutely just like shit all over the thing that you've created. But it's, that's valuable in learning for the next iteration. Irina, actually, we had some thesis exercise where we did that, like push each other to get at the, the central ethos of our thesis. And I remember she called me out because like she thought that I just liked creating these playtest sessions where I could like observe and manipulate behavior. And I was just like, did you just call me a sociopath? Like, are you just saying that like I'm into designing games because I like to engineer people's behavior? And I think it was scary because I think she was somewhat right about that. But
yeah,
I think that's what it comes back to for me is I figured out the certain patterns in game design and then realized that I liked leveraging those patterns to create play behavior.
That's pretty cool, actually. As long as, I think, we all have tendencies, but we need to like manage them in a healthy way. Like I'm sure like Stephen King, the author, right?
What about him?
I'm sure he's messed up, but he's not like but he's channeling it in a way that's profitable, in a way that's healthy and it's creative and whatever. Like
that's true.
What is this? This is like a failed attempt of me trying to be like a psychoanalyst. Like, what is this? Why am I doing this? I don't know. Yeah. But was it ever like enforced by your family in terms like, was it made into like, all right, Friday's a game night or like Saturday's game night? Were you involved like that?
I don't know if it was ever that regimented, but it's definitely it's definitely just in the culture of my family. We definitely play a lot of games. No, it was never, I don't think we ever had like set game nights, but my dad, I don't know, this isn't just like why game design, but like why designing or creating things. It's like this is the same path that we all think about. But my dad is a very creative person. And so my whole life growing up, watching him create things and admiring that, I think just brought me to the point where I was like I want to do that too. I want to be able to create multimedia, across disciplines, which I think is what led me to industrial design, because I thought it would be very general, right? I thought that it would be a design field that would be applicable in a multitude of areas, and I would cross that bridge when I came to it. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, totally. That's what I did.
Yeah. I think you and I were probably in a similar position where we had confidence in our creativity. We were coming from non-design backgrounds, but we're analysts, right? I mean, you were literally a management consultant. And so I was very interested in design consulting, and thought that industrial design would be the most general like field to get me thinking about just solving problems using design. I don't know if that's what it ended up being, mm-hmm. but I still feel like I was able to use it to, I don't know, I guess to like, I got something out of it, right? Like, I feel like it just got me to the next stage. But that's such I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I think that you and I are kind of like similar, maybe on the same boat, maybe. But like when I start, the only reason I went management consulting, like after like a year of therapy, maybe, and also, it took me 10 years to like accept the fact that maybe I don't want to be boxed in. I want options. Like even in a job, like I don't want the same project forever, Like,
of course.
Yeah, like a sales job that like your whole thing is selling the product forever, right? Projects don't change or whatever. There are micro changes. Yeah, sure. Like whatever. But in consulting, that provided me the room to like get into different projects, get into different industries, talk to different people. And I think industrial design served the same purpose. And that's why I went to it when I figured out that there is such a thing. And the only reason why I didn't go into illustration or graphic design or whatever, or photography would have been nice too. But industrial design allows us to like, to like bob and weave and maneuver ourselves across industries and just be this like, I don't know. It's undefinable. We just like, we can be whatever. It comes with a con. It's very easy to get lost in it. Very easy to kind of be confused at times as to like where we're headed and what am I doing and what's next. But you take solace in the fact that the future's open.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the thing that makes industrial design that way is that it's focused on the problem, right? I don't know. Now we're just circling around industrial design, which is like, I feel like we did that for 2.5 years at RSD. It's like, what is industrial design?
Yeah. But do you think that what you're doing now is like a mix of the 2 degrees that you gained in a way? Like, are you an amalgam of like your experiences now?
I don't know. I feel like I'm still just figuring it out every day. Because for me as a designer, when I'm creating something, I'm obsessing over what the user is thinking. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes the entire time I'm creating it, for better or for worse. Which is why I think that I actually have a complicated relationship with research. And I know I feel like that's a very taboo thing to say in design, but do you ever like look at a research or feedback on one of your designs and you're just like, no, you're like, no, I'm not going to listen to that. Like, that's wrong. That's bullshit.
Right.
I feel like that happens to me, and that is arrogance. I mean, that is, I know I should not think that way, but sometimes you just like, that if you're able to really bring what you're imagining to be as good as you're imagining it, they'll like it. I think that like you really believe it. And I'll be honest, I totally forgot where I was going with this, but I think that's like one of the driving forces of design for me. And it doesn't matter whether it's industrial design. It doesn't matter whether it's UX design. I'm still just, whatever I'm creating, I'm just obsessing over what the person using it will think. And so then the discipline doesn't really matter, right?
Right. You said like a couple of things there. First, I'm trying to understand, are you saying that when you're researching, so you try to get into the head of the user and now you have like an idea?
Oh, yes.
And then the
very
research,
arrogantly so.
Yeah, right. And then the research and the data does not add up sometimes to that idea that you built.
Right.
And so you tend to like reject the research and the data. Yeah, I mean, it can go both ways.
I can't, right? I mean, especially if you're working on a team where you're not the researcher, where the researcher is doing their job, and thank God for them. I mean, they're amazing at what they do, and like research and data, all this stuff is super important. And it does make logical sense that that's what we should use. But there's definitely a part of me as a designer that feels confident in my intuition about creating something, more confident than the data, the research and data, which I know is so bad to say. That is so bad to say. But,
it's like a design faux pas.
I can't help it. Yeah.
No,
really
I can't
help it. And I think that I feel like that and imagination are really the two things that I bring to designing anything, and the rest is very fluid. The rest, like it's industrial design, it's UX design, really it's only those two things because that's all I've really done. But
I feel like I find myself in that boat sometimes, is when I'm so sure that this is what they're thinking and this is what they want, but the data just doesn't support it. For some reason.
I know, but data can be biased. Data can be biased. You can have bad surveys, bad
data's constructed,
test sessions.
But then,
totally.
The only way to prove who's right, the data or your hunch, is to kind of is to kind of like do user tests. That's the only way.
I know. Somewhere, yeah. Our professors, if they listen to this, they will just be shaking their head. But yeah, I mean, that's why it's tough. It's like, well, because the ultimate metric in the corporate world, at least for design, is the only data point that really matters is whether people bought it or not, right?
Yeah, man.
That's
honestly, I've studied how data is made in college, and I've been a consultant. I know what data is. All right. It's not set in stone. It can change, and very easily. Yeah. So.
And so, I mean, how many times has the research said one thing? Actually, I don't really know the answer to this, but ultimately, if it sells, then what did the feedback even mean?
If it sells, data doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. so that's how I feel as a designer sometimes. But you can't get to that point without people are so data and research focused. They want to justify every decision made along the way, and you just can't go on hunches and intuition. Unfortunately,
see, this could be
that way.
In design, maybe when it's low stakes, maybe, but this is a slippery slope when we're data's made up. So I don't believe in COVID. Why wear a mask?
No, obviously not that. Yeah. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
no,
I know.
I'm not like that.
Just joking. Yeah, but I get what you're saying. There's a joke that economists have, they called 7 out of 2 recessions. It's always a joke, and that's a data joke. It's the data doesn't matter, But scientific research is real. Wear masks and keep social distancing, whatever.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm definitely thinking of a very specific kind of product testing data and research and feedback.
Yeah, I wonder where all of this is headed, because also the data and the research is changing every day on going back to NFT and all of those things. Where are we headed? I don't even know what's going to happen. If as an industrial designer, what's our call? What's our calling? Is this it? All of the industrial designers are going to now stick to either making vacuum cleaners or get into UX? Is this it? This is it. This is the ceiling. What's next? What's there? Should we help Elon Musk get his Tesla to Mars, or what's happening? What are we doing? Or should we put our energy and improve the planet that we're currently living on, instead of terrorizing and terraforming this hellscape that's gonna be Mars in a few years? What's happening?
I know. Well, those are all topics that I feel like I could pontificate about very with absolutely zero understanding. I feel like those are topics that you've had people on to have expert and informed conversations up until this point.
See, that's when the podcast becomes boring. When you have experts, the podcast becomes boring. Look, that's the thing. I would love to speculate with other designers on this, because speculative design is that. It is that. It's doing that with a bit more research. But it starts here. It starts with these stupid conversations that lead to something that you're all right, that's an interesting point,
Or, yeah, maybe. I feel like a lot of it went way over my head when we were in school, but.
Were you never into like discursive? Did you like discursive design or no?
I liked it, but I feel like a lot of my experience with it was trying to wrap my head around it, sitting there thinking I got it, getting excited, explaining something to Thomas, and then Thomas would look at me like I was an idiot. like I had no idea what I was talking about. And then I was like, oh, okay. All right. Maybe I definitely don't know what this is. I feel like I would have needed an entire two years to like really wrap my head around and produce something in critical and speculative design that I was like proud of.
Definitely. I think I had to take like 3 speculative design classes to actually get what it is, you know? Like going into it, I had an idea, but there's a whole spectrum of speculative design. It's big. It's just this, like what we learned is just tiny little, is the tip of the iceberg, you know? There's so much you can do with it, and totally. It's a very exciting field.
And I think it was, I didn't help myself out because I was a brat, right? I mean, I don't know if you remember our like reading discussions, but I was always just like pushing back on it. I was like, this is contemporary art. Do you remember when we did our readings? I don't want to blow up your spot here, but when you and I would come in and it's mostly, and I would be like, what the hell?
I remember we got labeled the children of neoliberalism, right?
Yeah. Were we?
Yeah, because we were in support of the capitalistic economy. We were in support of capitalism.
Right? Yeah, I mean, look no further than the whole last hour that we've talked about. Or I'm here and I'm like, yeah, index funds.
Yeah, pay your credit card bills on time. Make money on the side.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would like read it and I think I'm just such a cynic, but for me, it was just pages and pages and pages of people just saying, over analyzing something that I thought could be described in far less time. But then when I would try and have a discussion with someone about it and try to like take that stance, I would just get absolutely destroyed. so then it's like, all right, yeah, there is a lot more going on here. But so I definitely developed a respect for it through the class, but I don't think that I don't think I ever created anything substantive in any of our critical or speculative design ventures. Did you so what did happen to me after those classes is I would have ideas from time to time for things that I would be like, oh, that would have been a good project. Like that would have been a good project for critical design. So I wish I had done that instead of, what was that? I created that it was like a little tower that you would set up. And if too many people in a room were using their phone, it would like scream at you.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That was my critical design idea. It was like, eh. And I mean, but this is awesome. I feel like I just so badly wish we could do this co-located because I feel like it's
a different energy. Right?
There's something about different energy. I think there's something about the Zoom that removes, like, for me at least, a humor element for it. Mm. Do you get that?
I feel like there are these weird delays that happen from time to time. Is the talking over each other isn't as organic as it is when the people,
Of course. And I actually think that impacts the humor because otherwise because I like to think of our studio conversations as we would just joke around the whole time. So it's like, this is so different because it forces you, we have this constraint now of not talking over each other. which is that like humor dies there, right? If you're overthinking it.
Yeah. I think so like, yeah, this is maybe, is this the first podcast you've ever like been a part of?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've never done anything like this.
It took me like, you're going to be episode 9. All right. We're at episode 7 right now.
Yeah.
Can't have 2 white males right after each other, you know, had Jake.
No.
Then I'm going to include a woman, and then I'm going to have you on. But the thing is, like, you know, I want to say stupid things that don't mean anything. But the fact that the red light is blinking, recording, and this is going to be out on the internet, we're like over critical of what we say and like kind of keep on minor censoring ourselves, you know? So it almost wants me to like, almost makes me want to like make this podcast so difficult to find and underground. And so it's only spread through like, I don't know, so we can be free, you know, like, don't worry, say whatever.
So that people can be a bit more free.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I think about that is then I feel like another way to get around that, but it would just be way more time consuming for you, is to record a long enough conversation that, because I'm sure people fluctuate in and out of that, right? I mean, there are times when people are just rolling and they're censoring themselves less. And then there are times where you can tell that they're overthinking what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like with enough recording, you'd be able to condense it down and find those nuggets where people are definitely not overthinking it.
I think, yeah, it's funny.
But that requires a lot of recording.
Yeah, it does. It does. And the thing is, like, people usually are over censoring themselves right at the beginning. So like right when it's time to end at like an hour mark, people start opening up. So it's almost like I should start recording after an hour of talking to someone. Yeah.
That's interesting. For me, I felt like my brain got fried. I like stopped thinking about anything. I was just like, wait a minute.
What was my point?
I started getting like it's like, wait, what? Yeah. So I guess it's both of those things. I mean, it makes total sense to me that there would be like a warm up and then someone's flowing. But then, yeah, for me, I guess I would get to the point where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm just blabbing.
But I think that there's a subtle art to this. I'm starting to realize, like, the more I do it, it's like there needs to be these like you're literally not saying anything, but you're saying something, and it's like making these sentences and just like blabbering on. But then you should trust yourself that you're gonna reach a conclusion where you're gonna end that rant, and that's gonna be the effect.
Right.
So it's like a whole different creative genre. It's like, yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm okay at that in conversation. I mean, that's something, it's like, you're not supposed to interrupt yourself. You should have, you know, a set endpoint to conclude a thought. But I feel like Zoom removes that ability for me. Totally. And I think it's all the distractions. Right. Yeah. There's too many distractions for me.
I mean, it would have been amazing if I started this when we started RISD. That would have been so much fun. Like actually recording it in the studio like once a week with a guest. That's cool. But you know, it is what it is. But I think this is one of the most fun I've had recording a podcast, like with you. You're a good guest, I would say.
I'm glad to hear. I'm shocked. I think that the challenge, if you had done that in the studio, I think it would have been great. But do you remember how stressed we were all the time?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't have been able to like continue.
I don't think anyone. Yeah, no, I think we would have you would have been sitting there with your microphone with like a smile on your face, and people would have just been like, "Oh my God, I do not have time to sit here for an hour." Like,
that is true.
I barely have time to get my work done. Like, it's a great concept, but I always look back and regret things about the studio. It's like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. But then I think back on like when we were in it and we were just like so hyper focused on how much shit we needed to do.
Yeah.
And it would consume everything. And it definitely, that's why, I mean, I don't think that I was involved as much as I would have liked to in the social scene of the studio. But yeah, maybe some people were, but I don't feel like I was ever truly able to be myself in the studio, if that makes sense, because there's just such a layer of stress over everything all the time. So
yeah, I feel like whenever I met you at like, whenever I met you with Emmett, I feel like you were your true self.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you brought him along, or we were at his house or whatever for the pink party, you were your true self. You were giggly, you were silly, you were funny. And I think maybe like somewhere in the studio, you didn't find that balance of like being comfortable with joking around with political incorrectness or something like that, and not be judged, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it. But I also think that stress probably just like it's a chemical thing, right? I mean, it affects your brain. So what they're finding now, I'm going to butcher this, but like the worst thing about poverty is you're stressed all the time. You can't function because like it's so hard to get out of poverty, because like the very mindset of being in poverty is so stressful to your brain that it makes it function at a lower level.
Well, I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when I learned that, I was like, wow, that makes total sense. Because when I'm stressed, I operate at my worst. So it totally makes sense that someone who lives their day to day with stressors everywhere in their lives, like obviously it's going to be hard for them to accomplish something.
And it's a vicious cycle too,
Exactly.
I feel like at this, there's a point where like you get out of financial hardships and you reach a point where you're just comfortable achieving common things like paying your rent on time or having enough money to buy groceries and a little saving to kind of secure your future, and not even like a ton of saving, just enough to like, I can consistently live this lifestyle forever. I think that takes away from the stress immensely. Like you just need to have enough money to like get food and have a roof over your head, and that stress isn't there as much. But yeah, people who live like day to day on like checks that they earn, that's tough.
Yeah. So expecting them to be able to lift themselves out of that while they're working with just just a disadvantaged chemical mindset.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. It's a lot.
Like we can't even help.
So.
Like, how do you expect the government or anybody to help them when we can't even help the homeless in downtown Los Angeles? Like,
right.
We can't even do the bare minimum. Like, how are we going to help these?
I know.
We need to get the homeless to below the poverty line before we can get the people from below the poverty line to above the poverty line.
We need to get them on Robinhood and have them start investing in fractional shares.
Teach them how to invest in companies. There you go. How to day trade.
Yeah, exactly. Go up to them and be like, hello, have you heard of a mutual fund?